Did you pull it up in there, Mom? Hello. If anybody decides to watch this after the fact, right now I'm just waiting for a couple of people to start watching so that I can get this awesome information out to you guys. Ooh, okay, we've got 4 viewers, so I guess I will go ahead and get started. That's a start. So if anybody doesn't know me, my name is Sarah Ponica. I am finishing up my last trimester of chiropractic school at Get Well Family Chiropractic with Dr. Robin Lawrence. She is. Mom, can you turn that down, please? Sorry, I heard my own echo and it was kind of freaking me out in there. So normally Dr. Robin and I would do these classes together. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to join me this evening, so I brought the class to my home instead of up at the office. Um, so we're located in Florissant, Missouri. If anybody's watching from out of town or anything like that, just to let you all know. And so our class tonight is about inflammation. And so we're going to be talking about all of the roles that inflammation can play in the body, and most of these are typically negative roles, and just processes, like how it works into the different processes in our body. So, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. All right. And if anybody has any questions or anything along the way, I know typically when we've been doing these, it's kind of a lag. So if you do type a question, I might see it 5 minutes after the topic that that it pertains to. But I will do my best to get back to you and answer your question. So let's go ahead and get started, like I said. So what is inflammation? So inflammation is a biological response that is triggered by our immune systems. When we have irritants or pathogens and they're damaging our cells, the immune system is able to signal the inflammatory response. Infections, wounds, and any damage to tissue would not be able to heal if we did not have the presence of an inflammatory response. So in that regard, inflammation is very important in our bodies when it is a short-term type of inflammation. So with inflammation, like I've kind of already alluded to a little bit, it has good, bad, and ugly sides to it. The good thing about inflammation is that inflammation is the body's first line of defense against any harm. It's our body's attempt at self-protection, and it helps us to begin our healing process. And so this particular process and this type of inflammation is called acute inflammation. The bad side of inflammation is that long-term inflammation that's lasting for a really long period of time, like several months to years, is called chronic inflammation. And this is what we don't want in our bodies. The ugly truth of inflammation is that chronic inflammation can eventually cause several different diseases and conditions, and it can even cause certain cancers and rheumatoid arthritis, just to name a couple of things. So we're going to take a little bit of a deeper look into the ugly side of chronic inflammation. Okay. So, what causes chronic inflammation? It can result from a number of different situations. So, the first one would be when the body fails to eliminate the cause of acute inflammation, like the infectious organisms that might come in, the fungi, and other parasites. The harmful agent is able to remain in the affected tissue, which then leads to that chronic inflammation. The second cause would be exposure to a low level of a particular irritant or a foreign material. And that can include like industrial chemicals or other substances like that. And if those, small bits of those irritants aren't able to be eliminated, that could also lead to that chronic inflammation. And then a third cause is an autoimmune disorder in which the immune system attacks healthy tissue in our bodies, which that's just bad news bears for those people that have those autoimmune disorders. And then a fourth cause of chronic inflammation is, so this one, it has a lot of big words and they might be hard to understand, but I'm just going to throw them out there. So this is when biochemical inducers lead to an excess of oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, and increased production of free radical molecules. And these are also bad things for our bodies. So the World Health Organization, or the WHO, actually ranks chronic diseases as the greatest threat to human health. Years of research have concluded that chronic inflammatory diseases are the most significant cause of death in the world. A lot of research has also gone into identifying some of the common signs and symptoms that can develop as a result of this chronic inflammation. And some of these are body pain, constant fatigue and insomnia, depression, anxiety, and mood disorders, gastrointestinal complications like constipation, diarrhea, and acid reflux, weight gain, and frequent infections. Some of the main conditions that are related to chronic inflammation, they all tend to display a lot of the same inflammatory processes in them. And some examples of those are asthma, cancer, heart disease, neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer's, obesity, periodontitis, rheumatoid arthritis, sinusitis, type 2 diabetes, and ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. And certain risk factors have also been associated with chronic inflammation, and they can also promote a low-level inflammatory response. And those would be age, obesity, diet, smoking, low sex hormone levels, stress and sleep disorders, and that's about it there. So let's think about what most of those risk factors that I just mentioned have in common. So all of the risk factors that I just listed, except for age, we can't really help that, all of the rest of them are things that we're able to control through lifestyle changes. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and spend the rest of our Facebook Live class tonight discussing ways that we can work to prevent chronic inflammation through our lifestyle changes. Okay. So, smoking. That is a significant contributor to inflammation, and it's a lifestyle factor that is definitely controllable. I know when people have been smoking for a really long time, it is a hard habit to break, but it can be done. Cigarette smoking is actually associated with lowering the production of anti-inflammatory molecules and inducing inflammation. So it just makes the inflammation in our bodies even worse and worse. You can always talk with your doctor if you want help kicking the habit of smoking. Or if you want, you can write in the comments or reach out to us if you want access to some resources to help you quit smoking. I'm probably actually going to go ahead and post those resources that I have in the comments as well. Okay, so the inflammation diet. One of the best ways that we can reduce inflammation in our bodies lies right in our refrigerator. An anti-inflammatory diet should include foods such as tomatoes, olive oil, green leafy vegetables, which can include spinach, kale, and collard greens, certain nuts like almonds and walnuts, fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, tuna, and sardines, and then fruits such as strawberries, blueberries, cherries, and oranges. These foods are all high in natural antioxidants and polyphenols, which are protective compounds found in plants that are able to help reduce inflammation. If you're looking for a complete diet overhaul that focuses on flushing inflammation out of your system, we would recommend that you try the Mediterranean diet. A lot of different studies have shown that the Mediterranean diet is associated with weight loss and reduced risk of heart disease, strokes, type 2 diabetes, and premature death. So we're going to take a quick look at some sample meals for the Mediterranean diet. I'm just going to kind of list out what a couple of days might look like if you were to start the Mediterranean diet. For day one, you could start with a breakfast of Greek yogurt with strawberries and oats. Your lunch could include a whole grain sandwich with vegetables. And for dinner, you could have a tuna salad dressed in olive oil with a piece of fruit for dessert. And then for day two, you could have oatmeal with raisins for breakfast. Leftover tuna salad from the night before for lunch. And then for dinner, you could have a salad with tomatoes, olives, and feta cheese. My favorite. So, if you want to learn more about what goes into the Mediterranean diet and get some more sample menu items, I'm going to be sharing a link in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay. All right. Just trying to figure out how to work a cell phone. So I just posted in the comments the link for the Mediterranean diet. All right. So when it comes to reducing inflammation in our bodies, it's not only about the foods that we do eat, but also the foods that we should not eat and should stay away from. We want to try to avoid or limit the following foods as much as possible to make sure that inflammation doesn't take over our bodies. So you want to stay away from refined carbohydrates, such as white bread and pastries. I know, that's toughy. French fries and other fried foods, that breading it just does not have the good kind of carbs in it, I'll say that. Soda and other sugar sweetened beverages are not a good idea. Red meat, including burgers and steaks, and processed meats like hot dogs and sausages, these are all going to promote inflammation in your body. And stay away from margarine, shortening, and lard. So another diet that we can use to keep inflammation in check in our bodies is the low glycemic diet. The low glycemic or low GI diet is based around the concept of the glycemic index, which is a measure that ranks foods according to their effect on your blood sugar levels. So when we're looking at the glycemic index, there are 3 general ranges. So a low GI, glycemic index, is going to be 55 or less. Medium will be 56 to 69, and then a high GI is 70 or more. Studies have shown that the low GI diet may result in weight loss, reduce blood sugar levels, and lower the risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. Okay. So, what should we eat if we want to try the low glycemic diet? You want to incorporate the following low GI foods. So, if you want to eat bread on the low glycemic index diet, you should stick with whole grain, multigrain, rye, or sourdough varieties. Keep your breakfast cereals limited to porridge with rolled oats, Berkshire muesli, and all bran. You can have fruits like apples, strawberries, apricots, peaches, plums, pears, and kiwi. For vegetables, you can have carrots, broccoli, cauliflower, celery, tomatoes, and zucchini. Starchy vegetables, the Charisma and Nicola potato varieties are okay. Sweet potatoes with an orange flesh, and corn and yams. Legumes, examples of good legumes you could have would be lentils, chickpeas, butter beans, and kidney beans. And then as far as pasta and noodles for the low GI diet, I was actually surprised to learn that pasta, any kind of pasta, has a low GI because of the specific arrangement of the starch that's in the pasta dough. So pasta's okay. And also soba noodles, vermicelli noodles, and rice noodles have low GI as well. Rice with a low GI includes basmati, dungara, long grain, and brown rice. Greens that you could have would be quinoa, barley, pearl couscous, buckwheat, frike, and semolina. And then dairy and dairy substitutes with low GI are milk, cheese, yogurt, custard, soy milk, and almond milk. And meat isn't included in this list because it doesn't contribute to our carbohydrate load, and so it doesn't have any effect on the glycemic index. So that seemed like a pretty big list to me. I think sticking to the low glycemic index diet wouldn't be too hard to do. I'm gonna take a drink for just a second. I'm getting a little parched. Okay. And while we're on that note of foods and things like that can lower inflammation, an awesome natural anti-inflammatory agent that we have at our disposal is turmeric. So I'm sure like all of you have probably heard of turmeric. You can cook with it, or you can also take it in a capsular form as a supplement. And it's a good idea to take black pepper along with it if you take it as a supplement, because the black pepper actually helps to activate the anti-inflammatory properties of the turmeric. So you want to make sure that if you're doing some shopping for turmeric supplements, that you want to find a brand where our cells are able to absorb as much of the turmeric as possible. At the office at Get Well Family Chiropractic, we sell Ukon turmeric, and it is 96% bioavailable. So that means that when you take it, it's actually getting to your cells. It's not just being flushed out of your body, which is really important. And a lot of other brands at the stores, you are barely getting any of the good effects of the turmeric. Alrighty, so exercise is another essential step that we can all take to reduce inflammation in our bodies. So a good and I'd say reasonable goal is to try to participate in 30 to 45 minutes of aerobic exercise and 10 to 25 minutes of weight or resistance training at least 4 to 5 times a week. It might feel like it's really hard to get exercise right now with all of our gyms closed and all of our parks being closed and stuff like that, but there are other ways to get exercise in the comfort of your own home. So there's a lot of workout videos on YouTube and other websites that you can use as your aerobic and strength exercises. So I'm going to share some links again in the comments, and those will take you to some different YouTube channels that have some really good workouts on them that I have personally tried. And they range from, different difficulties from beginner to advanced, and I think they are good channels. So I'm going to post that now. See if I can be faster than I was on the last thing that I posted. Okay. Yay, there we go. Okay. So, this is another thing that a lot of people have been encountering a lot lately, being stressed about uncertainties in our lives and things like that. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about kind of the science of what happens when we are getting stressed. So when we encounter certain stressors in our lives, this actually signals the body to release stress hormones. And the 3 most common stress hormones in our body are cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine. When our body is quickly flushed with these stress hormones, we enter into a state of fight or flight. I am sure that you've all heard of the example of people needing this fight or flight response back in the day when we were at risk of running into a hungry bear and needing to either fight the bear or run away as quickly as possible. So this stress does serve as a protection mechanism to alert us to harm that might be coming. Most people aren't really in these bear fighting kinds of situations anymore. But unfortunately, the other built up layers of stressors in our lives can lead to a chronic state of stress. So our body always thinks that we are about to fight this bear. So chronic stress causes stress-related hormones to be continuously present in the body, which in turn causes chronic inflammation. A reason we are here tonight. So there's a ton of different ways that you can manage stress, different techniques that you can use. And some of them can actually double as physical exercise as well. Exercise is really helpful at lowering stress. And yeah, so who doesn't like to kill 2 birds with 1 stone? So a few different methods that we can use to manage stress would include yoga, meditation, guided imagery, gratitude journaling, taking a walk, and practicing deep breathing. Getting a restful sleep is also super important if we want to combat inflammation in our bodies. It might be surprising to hear, but while we sleep, our body performs key healing and restoration processes. The average healthy adult needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. So think about it. Are you getting enough sleep? If you wake up feeling tired or feel sluggish during the day, this could definitely be an indication that you need more sleep or better quality sleep. I know personally my Fitbit, which I wear all day, every day, pretty much, unless I need to charge it, um, I wear it to bed, and it tracks quite a few different aspects of my sleep. So it tells me exactly how long I was sleeping and how long I spent in the different phases of sleep, and then it gives me a sleep score for the night. Um, so that I think that's really interesting, and it shows me how well I'm doing and if I have room for improvement in my sleeping. So there's other apps that you can use on your smart devices that can help track your sleep habits as well. If you do have trouble getting to sleep or staying asleep, it would be a really great idea to try to develop a nighttime routine that you really consistently stick with, and to help signal to your body that it's time to rest. Some good tips that you could try along with this would be avoid eating or drinking caffeine in the hours before bedtime. Participate in calming activities like going for a walk, meditation, or stretching. Take a warm bath before bed. Do some journaling or read a book. And then try to turn off your electronics for an hour before going to sleep. If you really insist on having some screen time before bed, it's a really good idea to either get blue light glasses or somehow turn off the blue light setting on your devices, because the blue light that is emitted from these screens can actually really mess up our circadian rhythm, and it can delay our body's release of melatonin. And melatonin is the sleep hormone, the hormone that tells our body that it's time to go to sleep. So what you do as a part of your sleep routine is up to you, but just keep in mind too that a clutter-free, cool room is ideal for adequate sleep. Certain supplements and essential oils can also help us fall asleep if these simple changes to our routine aren't. You can try taking valerian, hops, passion flower, and magnesium as supplements to help you try to get better sleep as well. And in addition to all that, you can put lavender essential oil in an oil diffuser, and that can help you fall asleep and stay asleep restfully. Okay. So if you think that you might have a hormonal balance, if you think you might have a hormonal imbalance in your body, we can actually do blood tests and analyze the blood that we pull out, and that will determine which hormones might be off and how we can correct these imbalances naturally. And this is something that we do at the office as well. We don't do the blood tests there, but we can send out for blood tests. And that is the information that I have for you tonight about inflammation. So if you want access to the resources that I used or that were used to make the presentation tonight, feel free to send us a message or just let me know in the comments, and then I can send those links your way. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. So chronic inflammation is a really big issue that a lot of people are going through, and they might not even realize that that's what they're experiencing. That's why they're feeling sluggish, or that's why they're not feeling their best. As chiropractors, a lot of our patients come to us as a last resort after they've been experiencing like chronic pain for many years. And a lot of the time, chronic inflammation is a really big part of making these pain symptoms as bad as they are. So, like we mentioned before, this chronic inflammation is also linked to a number of diseases, which we see a lot in our practice as well. So we know that inflammation is essential for wound healing, but chronic inflammation can really wreak havoc on our healthy tissues. The good news is that there are ways to reduce the risk of getting chronic inflammation by making different lifestyle changes, which we talked about tonight. If you have any questions for us, once again, please feel free to share them in the comments. And if any of this resonated with you tonight and you think that you might be going through some chronic inflammation in your own body, this is something that we could definitely address with you in a consultation and possibly treat you at our office at Get Well Family Chiropractic. So feel free to reach out for sure. Thanks again for listening tonight, and we want to invite you to tune back in at 6 p.m. next Tuesday for a class about how you can support your immune system with essential oils. So next Tuesday, we should be back with Dr. Robin and I, and me, to talk about some essential oils. Thanks again for listening, and I hope everyone has a wonderful night. And stay safe out there, stay healthy, and have a happy time in your quarantine.